Yes,
Thank you. Let me begin by asking a question that I've raised here for the past 4 years on this occasion. Today marks the 4th anniversary since the Israelis killed a cousin of mine, Ahmed Arakat, on his way to pick up his mother, and they kept his body. 4 years later, do you think that whatever he did not do anything, but whatever he did, warrants to keep a body and prevent the family from having closure?
First of all, my condolences to you, Saeed, for the loss of your family member. I don't know the specifics of the case, but obviously we want to see every family be able to grieve for their lost loved ones and properly bury them and pay their respects.
But such a practice is not condoned in any way by anyone.
As I just said, we want to see every family be able to pay their respects.
And very quickly on your response to Simon, now you're saying that the Palestinians or Hamas uses human or whatever civilian facilities and so on for their own purposes and so on. Are you, because this is the person that was killed, Dr. Hani al-Jafrawi, in a missile. He worked for the Ministry of Health, which is Hamas run, but he's a civilian. He's been doing this job for 35 years and so on. Does that make that clinic a legitimate target?
No, of course not. Yeah. What Israel has said is that there were Hamas militants who were also there and were operating out of there. We don't have the ability to litigate the claims, but as I said, that's what poses such a difficult problem for Israel in conducting these operations, which in no way lessens their burden, but it also makes it difficult in these situations to look at what happened and understand without having all the facts who is ultimately responsible. Israel's responsible for carrying out a strike. Hamas bears responsibility if, in fact, they were embedding themselves among civilian targets. And so it is very difficult in all these, which is why there is no simple answer, and you have to look at each of them and make determinations based on the facts of each case.
Over the weekend, we saw that the Israeli army in the occupied West Bank had a wounded Palestinian man strapped to the jeep and so on. So this is really, by the way, I raised this issue many times before this war, many times, because the Israelis have done this practice since 1967. I don't want to go into details of every incident and so on, but isn't that basically the army using Palestinians as a human shield?
So I will say we saw that video. It was shocking. The practice was absolutely unacceptable. Humans should never be used as human shields. The IDF should swiftly investigate what happened, hold people accountable. I saw the statement they put out that the actions were inconsistent with the orders those soldiers received, that it is being investigated and the people involved will be dealt with accordingly. That is absolutely appropriate.
Just a couple more issues, if you allow me. I want to ask you on the new legal powers of the settlers' facilities and the West Bank. And, apparently annexation is underway under, everybody's eyes and so on.
So you're referring to the reported actions by the finance minister. So we have seen the finance minister, who also is a minister inside the defense ministry, attempt to further administratively integrate settlements into Israel. We have made quite clear that settlements are counterproductive to peace, that the government of Israel's settlement program is inconsistent with international law, and we will continue to make that clear.
Yeah, but yet the Israelis are never deterred by your position and so on. Could we expect some sort of leveraging some of
I'm not going to speak to future actions that we may or may not take. I will just say we will continue to make the case to them that actions like these don't just harm the Palestinian people, but they ultimately are self-defeating. They ultimately hurt Israel's interests. They ultimately weaken Israel. They weaken Israel's security. And so that's the case that we will continue to make to them.
And finally, I promise this finally. Mr. Netanyahu.
Don't make promises you can't keep, Saeed.
Sorry, I have so many. Yesterday, the Prime Minister, the Israeli Prime Minister, basically rejected the whole Biden plan. And he said, okay, we want to exchange some of the hostages for few prisoners, and that's it. That's the end of it. So do you still think that the ball is in Hamas's court, and not in Israel's court?
So I saw the comments the Prime Minister made yesterday, and then I saw the statement his office put out clarifying that they wanted to secure the release of all hostages, and then I saw the further statement the Prime Minister said today, where he made clear he supports the proposal that Israel put on the table and the President laid out. So I will just say, I think all of us that speak publicly at times make mistakes and misspeak, and when we do so, we have an obligation to come clarify, and we're glad he did.